But I think we're
alone.
A lot alone. You know, a lot of times you can perform for millions of people and, you know, I'm sure, I don't know, maybe you don't feel this way.
Today, Diana Ross's biography is the tragic truth of the world's most famous singer. Careful research reveals that Diana Ross's musical career spans more than 60 years. Since she first began performing for crowds at the tender age of 15, the musical legend has grown into something of a powerhouse in the music world. One of the wealthiest and most successful musicians of all time, Diana could be right up there with the best of them. But now, at around 80 years old, the legendary performer leads a surprisingly depressing existence. First of all, how did she end herself here? This film will examine Diana Ross's life and career in further detail, focusing on how she manages to remain downcast despite the many opportunities presented to her. No one would have guessed that Diana Ross, a worldwide celebrity, was born on a street in Detroit in 1944. She was born to Ernestine Moten Ross and Fred Earl Ross on March 26, 1994, in Detroit, Michigan, the second of 6 children. Her family lived through a difficult time. Her dad, Fred, was a famous American politician, and her mom, Ernestine, was a teacher. Infantryman hails from Bluefield, West Virginia. Their lives would be touched by the birth of their daughter, but they had no idea that she would go on to be adored and spoken about by millions of people across the world. She was given the name Diane by her mother at birth. Nevertheless, her birth certificate was accidentally filled up with the name Diana, which has since been widely used, despite her friends and relatives in Detroit still refer to her by her given name, Diane. Growing up in a Baptist household with 2 sisters, Rita and Barbara, and 3 brothers, Arthur, Fred Jr., and Wilbert, also known as Chico, young Diana's upbringing was a stark contrast to the glamorous life she would eventually adopt. She and her family resided at 635 Belmont Street, in the North End neighborhood of Detroit, Michigan, near Highland Park. Coincidentally, her neighbor at the time was none other than the future-famed William "Smokey" Robinson, Jr. Without a doubt, Diana Ross will continue to be a major player in the music industry for the foreseeable future, enjoying enormous success and money. Would she have the resilience to endure the hardships that lie ahead? Will the last years of her life bring the same level of sadness as the first? Stay tuned to find out what her life is like now that she's 80 years old. Diana and her siblings had to go to Bessemer, Alabama, where Ernestine's mother lived, because their mother fell horribly ill after being diagnosed with tuberculosis when Diana was 7 years old. The Brewster Douglass Housing Project, one of the city's largest housing projects, is a residential area for most working-class Detroiters. It is situated near the Chrysler Freeway, Mack Avenue, and St. Antoine Street. Diana's family decided to relocate there when she returned to Detroit at the age of 14. Diana honed her abilities in millinery, tailoring, clothing design, and fashion schools with the goal of becoming a fashion designer. Smokey Robinson had been a great help to her, providing her the money she needed to enroll in cosmetology and modeling schools, so she made sure to carve out time for those pursuits as well. In addition to the male vocal group The Primes, Diana Ross was a member of the sister group The Premettes when she was 15 years old. At this juncture in her life, Diana embarked on her path to greatness. And what gives music its appeal? She had to borrow money to pay for the fashion design course, so why did she give up on her dream? Where does her career in modeling stand? Was she just going to forego all of it in pursuit of a profession that had always appeared to be an afterthought? Or was it intended to be a musician? Of course, Diana Ross's extraordinary voice was a major factor in her meteoric rise to fame. The question then becomes how Diana Ross became a musician. Yeah, we're going to find out. Diana's career took a surprising turn when, at the age of 15, she became a member of the Premettes, a vocal group that would go on to become Motown's most successful musical group and the best-selling vocal girl group of all time. This marked the beginning of Diana's meteoric rise to stardom around the world. Florence Ballard, Mary Wilson and Betty McGlown were the original members of the organization, which was overseen by Milton Jenkins, who was also its organizer at the time. What gave her the idea to become a member of the female group? Then we will see. A male vocal group known as the Primes existed in Detroit in the early 50s. Milton Jenkins was the group's manager. Members included Paul Williams and Eddie Kendricks. Williams, who was a resident of the Brewster Dulles housing project, met Florence Ballard, a fellow junior, during their time in high school. Milton, the group's manager, decided to form a sister group named the Primettes due to the exceptional singing abilities of Ballard and Betty McGlown, who was dating William at the time. To ensure that the all-girls group had a substantial membership, Florence Ballard enlisted the help of Mary Wilson, her best friend, and Paul Williams, who had seen Diana performing with the other Brewster Douglas teens on the stoop, introduced her to Florence so that she too could be recruited. My existence revolved around singing. According to Diana's memoir, Secrets of a Sparrow, published in 1993, it was all that I cared about. The subject was central to her life. I was hell-bent on making my dream a reality, I said. After winning an Ontario competition, the trio auditioned for Motown and were finally permitted to record at Motown Studio, but their album still failed to achieve countrywide popularity. In 1964, the trio finally broke through with their first hit single, Where Did Our Love Go?, which catapulted Diana's voice to new heights. From 1964 to 1967, Diana and her groupmates produced 10 songs that reached #1, with many more reaching the UK's top 40 chart. The band was able to take advantage of a slew of fresh chances after their breakthrough, including an appearance on a famous NBC TV show in 1968 and a barrage of interviews with the media. The Tarzan series. One may argue that the rapid rise to fame of the Supremes was due in large part to Diana's intense ambition and her talent for captivating audiences during her live performances. Even though the group was starting to achieve popularity, Diana decided to leave in 1970 due to some internal strife. Secrets of Sparrow, Diana's autobiography, claims that she battled anorexia nervosa, an eating condition defined by an intense preoccupation with thinness, disturbed body image, and a dread of gaining weight. In Boston, Massachusetts, she was taken to the hospital for fatigue after collapsing on stage after a performance. Because of this chain of events, she is now pursuing her own career, which she will prove to be unbeatable. Despite initial backlash to her casting choice, Diana Ross went on to star in Lady Sings the Blues as the iconic jazz and swing singer Billie Holiday, thanks to her meteoric rise to solo stardom and mesmerizing performances. In the end, her performance in the film garnered her several accolades, including nominations for Best Actress and wins at the Golden Globe and Academy Awards ceremonies. Jazz critic and writer Leonard Feather gave Diana Ross high marks for her depiction of Billie Holiday in the film, praising her commitment to the role and the singer's legacy. Feather was first skeptical of Diana's casting, but she came to admire her ability to capture the depth and intensity of Holiday's songs and demeanor. Feather had a generally favorable impression of the picture, praising Diana for her skill and the significant role she played. Along with the film's popularity, the soundtrack was a smashing hit, selling over 2 million copies and topping the Billboard 200 for an unprecedented 2 weeks. Although Diana's role as a movie star was still relatively new to her, her career in music was thriving. Diana chose to star in a biopic following the release of her 1973 album, Last Time I Saw Him, which was a commercial triumph. The 1975 film Mahogany was her second feature film. Diana considered it a personal triumph since it gave her the opportunity to showcase her fashion sense once again. She created the most of the costumes for the film. Berry Gordy's American love drama follows the life of Tracy Chambers, a young lady from Chicago who aspires to be a famous fashion designer but finds more success in the modeling profession. Diana Ross plays the lead role. On her path to stardom, Tracy must overcome several obstacles, one of which being her troubled romance with Billy D. Williams's social activist character. The picture was a commercial triumph at the box office, but reviewers were not fond of Diana's deeply personal film. In addition, Diana Ross's performance of the film's theme song, Theme from Mahogany, Do You Know Where You're Going To?, resulted in a massive smash, her third #1 hit in the US, and a nomination for Best Original Song at the Academy Awards. The Wiz was a musical fantasy adventure film that Diana Ross appeared in, continuing her successful film career. The play The Wiz was staged in 1974 on Broadway and was an African-American take on L. Frank Baum's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. With a $20 million contract with RCA and successful records, Diana reached new heights in the 1980s. After nearly 20 years with her home label Motown, Diana began talks to depart after receiving an unprecedented offer from RCA, a record company controlled by Sony Entertainment, offering her $20 million and 7 years of complete creative control over the album's development. After her conversation with Berry Gordy, head of the label, she was offered a $250,000 parting package. Berry had told Diana, "Impossible, I can't match the offer from RCA," before she made the choice to depart. This led to the most expensive record contract in music history, which Diana signed with RCA Records on May 20, 1981. Her iconic 1983 Free Central Park concert in front of 1 million spectators and her subsequent role in the film The Wiz both contributed to her rising stardom and global prominence. The fact that Diana overcame personal challenges like substance misuse in the early 2000s is a testament to her strength and perseverance. She successfully returned to Motown, performing to sold-out audiences on tours across the United Kingdom and receiving awards like as the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Throughout the 2000s and beyond, Diana continued to be a major player in the entertainment industry, producing albums, making TV appearances, and receiving several Lifetime Achievement Awards. She established herself as one of the most legendary performers of all time by leaving an impression that would last for generations. However, in the midst of all these accolades and spotlight, the narrative of the worldwide superstar's life behind the scenes is one that would cause many to question her and make her early years a fight for survival. Be bonded to the finish. Diana, the musical icon, has long been shrouded in mystery, but recently has felt compelled to open up about her life and the struggles she has been enduring behind the scenes. Her fans are understandably fascinated and worried about her. In her autobiography, Secrets of a Sparrow, which honors the superstar's 30th year in the entertainment industry, Diana Ross delves into the joys and sorrows of achieving and maintaining stardom. It seems that with every achievement, with every move I have made, no matter how great or small, someone was always there to try to bring me down, she writes, expressing her annoyance or disappointment with the continual criticism or roadblocks she likely encountered despite her successes. Furthermore, she had written, "Some may think I'm prepared to fight, but that's just a misunderstanding. What I'm actually doing is conquering my fears, which I've hidden for a long time." Being a celebrity was incredibly difficult, even as her fame grew, and the older I grow, the better it all feels. However, allowing things to just flow is not easy for me, and it never has been. The singer confesses this again. Even though she managed to appear so cheerful at public appearances, there were moments when she felt incredibly down and anxious when she was alone in her room, alone with her thoughts. There would be a stark contrast between Diana's public demeanor and her inner troubles, which would be shown by her mental health struggles and the complexity of her personal life. Prescription medication and alcohol addiction was one of Diana's notorious struggles. The rumor mill began to spin after she filed for a divorce from her 14-year marriage to her Norwegian boyfriend, Arne Næss Jr., allegedly due to his adultery during the marriage. During their time together, Arne was allegedly pregnant with another lady in Norway. One of the most fulfilling partnerships of her life will emerge from her marriage to Arne. "He still remains the love of my life," she told Oprah Winfrey in 2011. Additionally, she gushed about their marriage, calling it a wonderful, wonderful love affair. Diana's effusive praise of Arne persisted even after his passing, and she expressed her pride at having shared in his life. "He introduced me to experiences and places I never would have imagined," she remarked. "I mean, I've been on trips, but nothing like the ones Arne planned. The individuals I met were incredible. He introduced me to experiences I would never have had otherwise." Despite claims to the contrary, Diana's reliance on prescription painkillers for an earlier ailment allegedly led to her addiction to these drugs. The insider went on to say that she was suffering from severe mood swings brought on by her heavy drug and alcohol usage, and that her depression was getting worse. When the police pulled over 58-year-old Diana Ross in December 2002, following witness accounts of her car swerving carelessly, she was arrested for driving under the influence with a blood alcohol level more than twice the legal limit. This occurred months after she had left the rehabilitation center where she had admitted herself in an effort to overcome her alcohol abuse and addiction. To put it another way, she was discovered to have a blood alcohol level of 0.20 inches after being tested with a breathalyzer. This technically means that she was inebriated while driving, given the legal limit in Arizona was 0.08 inches when she was arrested. The charges against Diana for DUI were reduced to 48 hours in jail, but she was later released to go home after she was given proper transportation. The arresting officers noted that Diana was cooperative, so she was released after signing a commitment to appear in court. Considering the counsel of her 5 children, who had grown increasingly worried about their mother's drinking habit, during which Diana would consume alcoholic wine continuously, and her strong sense of responsibility to her family and fans, Diana Ross needed to think about rehabilitation. In or around May 21, 2002, the musician checked herself into a rehabilitation facility. Rumor has it that the 58-year-old musician Diana Ross sought psychological help in December 2001 when she checked into a psychiatric ward at Century City Hospital in Los Angeles. This was her first attempt following her divorce from Nace. In addition, she reportedly paid £20,000 for a 30-day substance abuse program at the Promises Institute in Malibu, a 5-star rehabilitation center that exclusively treats patients with drug and alcohol problems. The situation in which Diana found herself was indeed a challenging one, especially due to the impact her divorce from Arne Nace Jr. had on her. Prior to their divorce, Diana never had a drinking problem or was ever involved in any form of substance abuse. The ensuing behavior shows clearly how deeply she cherished her relationship with Nace, down to the point where the end of their marriage was particularly devastating for her. When asked during the Barbara Walters Mother's Day special in 2002 how she felt about the divorce with Arne Nace Jr., she replied, "I was saddened. I was more sad than depressed. I was kind of sad having to do something I felt wasn't the right time to do." Shortly after leaving the Promises Institute to begin her tour in August 2022, Diana went back for another round of therapy. What would happen to the renowned international superstar? Her December arrest that year for failing a breathalyzer test proved that her decision to rehabilitate never truly paid off. Are these addictions going to hinder her career? Shall she be able to overcome them? We shall find out shortly. One thing Diana may be proud of is how she has persevered through the challenges she has faced, such as mending from the wounds caused by her divorce and dealing with the psychological anguish that comes with being a public figure with so many demands placed on her. She continued to make public appearances in 2023, featuring in the National Association of Black-Owned Broadcasters Awards, NABOB, and much later that year, she graced the Met Gala with a performance in a custom Tom Ford ensemble, reminding the world of her remarkable stage prowess. In 2003, she was named Humanitarian of the Year by the We Are Family Foundation for her charity work. This award demonstrated her commitment to making a positive impact beyond entertainment. Throughout the years that followed, Diana remained deeply involved in several significant endeavors, garnering an increasing number of accolades and renown on a global scale. Diana Ross's children, including her second daughter, Tracy Ellis Ross, were the center of public attention in May 2024 when she made an appearance, something she had done before, by appearing on the cover of Essence magazine to celebrate the magazine's 50th anniversary. In December 2004, Diana performed as a featured artist at the Century Award Tribute, which is Stevie Wonder's Billboard Music Awards. Her performance at the Tsunami Aid, a Concert of Hope, a fundraising TV concert, was a masterpiece that captivated both audiences and critics with its depth. The concert was organized to support the tsunami victims of the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake in Sumatra, Indonesia. Diana launched the MAC Icon makeup collection about a week after the performance, becoming a part of the Beauty Corporation's Icon series as well. In 2005, she made her chart-topping comeback after a 5-year absence with a duet of I've Got a Crush on You featuring Rod Stewart. The single peaked at #2 on the UK singles chart and #1 in Ireland. That same year, Diana was featured as an honored guest at Oprah Winfrey's Legends Ball Weekend, an event that celebrated her and other African-American women for their contributions to art, entertainment, and civil rights, among other things. Diana maintained her status as a regular on several award events and famous television programs. Blue, Diana's 1972 album, reached #2 on Billboard's Top Jazz Albums chart, and in 2006 she was honored for her televised Central Park concert, which was named the viewer's choice for television's greatest music moment at the TV Land Awards. Furthermore, Diana was born in 1972. I Love You, Diana Ross's first studio album in 7 years, marked a significant milestone in her musical journey. The album was a smash hit, reaching #32 on Billboard's Hot 200 Albums chart and #16 on Billboard's Top R&B Albums chart. In support of the album, Ross embarked on a world tour. Awards and recognitions abound for Ross, including the BET Awards Lifetime Achievement Award and the Kennedy Center Honors in 2007. In 2008, Diana performed at the opening ceremony of the U.S. Open tennis tournament in honor of Billie Jean King. And that same year, she headlined the Nobel Peace Prize concert in Oslo, Norway. In 2009, she continued her residency at the annual Symfonica in Rosso concert series at the Gelredome Stadium in the Netherlands. In 2010, Diana began touring the More Today Than Yesterday, The Greatest Hits Tour, her first major headline tour in 3 years. The tour, dedicated to the memory of her late friend Michael Jackson, garnered her positive reviews around the world. By this stage in her career, she had accomplished a great deal in the music industry, and she had earned the accolades and international renown that she was receiving. In 2011, Diana Ross was inducted into the Michigan Rock and Roll Legends Hall of Fame for her musical contributions. In February 2012, she received her first Grammy Award for Lifetime Achievement, which is a special Grammy Award given to performers who have made highly significant artistic contributions to the recording industry. That same year, she was also the announcer for the nominees in the Album of the Year category. In December 2012, Diana performed as the Mark at the White House's Christmas in Washington concert, an incredible honor for her, performing in the presence of former President Obama. 4 years later, in November 2016, then-President Barack Obama presented her with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, a tremendous tribute to her worldwide impact. Diana Ross was honored with the American Music Lifetime Achievement Award in 2017, joining her daughter Rhonda Ross Kendrick as headliners of the Essence Festival in New Orleans, Louisiana. At the end of 2016, she was named Billboard's 50th most successful dance club artist of all time. In 2017, she became one of only 4 recipients of the award. The legendary superstar would go on to garner many more accolades, worldwide hits, and acclaim. Her 25th studio album, Thank You, was nominated for Best Traditional Pop Vocal Album at the 2023 Grammys. At the height of her musical success, Diana was also a businesswoman, founding a fragrance line and running a fashion and cosmetics company, demonstrating that her influence went beyond music. Diana Ross still managed to find love, and not just from the men she had children with, but also from her 5 amazing children. This was despite the fact that she was a global celebrity, which meant she had to overcome obstacles and always work on herself. Love was like a roller coaster for the living legend, full of highs and lows, exhilaration and despair. The first account of her romantic relationship was an affair she had with her former label boss at Motown, Berry Gordy. This resulted in the birth of Diana's first child, Rhonda Suzanne Silberstein, in August 1971. Rhonda, who never knew about her biological father until she was 13, was raised by Diana's first husband, Robert. The truth behind the situation is that 2 months into her pregnancy with Rhonda, Diana got married to Robert Ellis Silberstein, a music executive at the time. While this might have been a complex situation at the time, Robert never had an issue with this, as he took up the responsibility of raising Rhonda as his own child. On the other hand, Gordy was already really close to the family and came around often. Rhonda, who was pretty much little and very oblivious about the situation, had referred to her real dad, Gordy, as Uncle B.B. quote. When asked how she had felt after knowing that her father was Berry Gordy, she replied, "Of course it was. Shocking." She also recounted the number of times she had questions about her looks and how differently she was from her sisters in terms of appearance. When asked why it took her all those years to tell Rhonda who her biological father was, Diana responded by saying she didn't think she was old enough to understand. She further said, "I didn't want to marry Berry, I didn't want to marry him." Diana only saw Berry Gordy as more of a mentor than a lover. She did not feel the same kind of love for Berry Gordy as she felt for Robert. Robert Silberstein revealed to People magazine that nobody had introduced them when asked how their relationship started. His wife had 2 other children, Tracy Joy Silberstein, now known as Tracy Ellis Ross, who was born in 1972, and Chudney Lane Silberstein, who was born in 1975. Robert and Diana's marriage was short-lived. They divorced in 1977 and are still friends. After Diana Ross's divorce from Robert, she continued her romantic life by dating Kiss bassist and co-lead singer Gene Simmons. Their brief relationship began when Diana's friend Cher introduced them. Speculations arose that Simmons was romantically involved with Cher at the time, although Simmons denied this. Their relationship ended in 1983 when Diana suspected Simmons was reconciling with Cher, leading to troubles and the end of Diana and Cher's friendship. Diana Ross met the man she would forever call the absolute love of her life not long after, approximately 2 years later. Diana met the shipping magnate and businessman Arne Nace Jr. in 1985. He had 3 children from a previous marriage, Katinka, Christopher, and Leona Nias, whom Diana would later become a stepmother to. Diana married Arne Jr., and they had 2 sons, Ross Arne, 1987, and Evan Olav, 1988. 3 years after the birth of their final son, Olav, Diana's seemingly perfect love story came to an end. Arne Nias Jr. passed away on January 13, 2004, while visiting a friend in South Africa. He was climbing down from a peak on Rupert's estate in the Groot Drakenstein Mountains near the town outside Cape Town, South Africa, when the divorce between Diana Ross and Arne Nace Jr. was finalized in 2000. The reasons for this unspecified split were not revealed until 2014, when the Chicago Tribune reported that Arne had fathered a child in Norway. In 2023, an interview with Smokey Robinson, Diana's former neighbor and childhood friend, was reported by The Guardian. Robinson allegedly claimed that he and Diana Ross had an affair in the 1960s, while he was married to Claudette Rogers Robinson. He said, "We were working together and it just happened. But it was beautiful. She's a beautiful lady, and I love her right till today." When asked for a response, Diana's representative ignored the allegation. Meanwhile, American YouTuber Gary voiced his disappointment with the situation, saying, "I am so sick of a man talking like that. Keep your business to yourself." Barbara Walter asked her children whether they wanted their mom to remarry, and they answered, "I would love for Mom to find love again." Diana Ross, on the other hand, declined, saying that she likes waking up to her bed alone. Diana Ross's love story is, to put it mildly, as unique as the superstar herself. Now that she's in her 80s, Diana is fortunate to have family nearby. She has 7 grandchildren: Rafe Henoch, born in 2009, to her first daughter Rhonda; Leaf and Indigo, born in 2016 and 2017, respectively, to her son Ross Nace; Callaway Lane, born in 2012, and Everly, born in October 2019, to Diana's last daughter Chudney; and finally Jagger Snow, born in 2015, and Ziggy, born in 2020, to her son Evan. Diana Ross, who is getting on in years, is still going strong professionally. Rolling Stone just named her the 87th best vocalist of all time, further attesting to her enduring power and the substantial mark she has left on the entertainment business for decades. Evan and Ross, my wonderful sons who are loving men, husbands, and fathers. ASO, my son-in-laws Josh and Rodney, I love you. She went on to praise the men in her life in a very emotional video she posted to her tweet on March 4, 2024. In spite of her incredible career and accomplishments, Diana Ross has had to overcome a number of tragic events and personal struggles that have cast a pall over her life, leaving her with a feeling of sadness that she still reflects on today. Her life has been filled with brilliant fame and success, but it has also been marked by deep sorrow and difficulties. Despite her outward success, Ross suffered from stress, anxiety, and self-doubt, fighting to keep her composure and well-being in the face of the demands of her career. The long hours, lack of sleep, and relentless scrutiny left her feeling emotionally and physically drained. She just came out to share that she is on the mend after an episode of an eating disorder and is promoting gut health through intermittent fasting. Tragedies and heartbreak befell Ross throughout her life. Arthur and Patricia Ann Robinson Ross, her brother and his wife, were brutally murdered, shattering her family. Arna Nace, her second husband, died in a tragic mountain climbing accident, further deepening Ross's grief and loss. The iconic singer herself had a near-death experience in 2021. Every day, Diana Ross tries to move past the hurts and disappointments of the past and embrace the hope for a better future. We appreciate you taking the time to watch. If you want to see more exciting stories about your favorite characters, just click on the next video that appears.